Okay, people, welcome back to the channel. It's LFC Plavi here, and I'm here to do my season review for Liverpool FC in the 2024-25 season. I'm going to touch on 10 key points. That was the main reasons why Liverpool won the Premier League. And I'm also going to touch on my expectations before the season began. So before I go on, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts on the season that we won the league and also what you expect for next season. So let's get into it. I'll start with my expectations for the season. I think coming into the season with the fact that Jurgen Klopp had left Liverpool, Arne Slot was coming in, a lot of people thought that the performances were going to drop. The expectations were a bit low for some. But I think in my own perspective, what I had in mind was that Liverpool finished 9 points below Man City, who won the league last season. And so my thought process was that if Arne Slot comes in, based on his record and what he's achieved in other clubs, and the fact that he's going to inherit a much more talented squad than he's ever managed before, my expectation was that he would be able to close the 9-point gap. And for me, closing that 9-point gap, whether it resulted in winning the league or not, was going to be the minimum requirement for me, right? So when we look at the season just gone, Liverpool had 82 points when the league title was mathematically over. So the challenge for the league was mathematically over after the 34th week of games. So Liverpool at that point had 82 points, which means that in the last 4 games of the season, Liverpool got 4 points out of a possible 12 points. Now, when I compare that 82 points after the 34th game week of this past season to 2 seasons ago when Jurgen Klopp was there, Liverpool at that time had, I think, 70 something points. I think it was 71 points. So, which means that at that same stage 2 seasons ago, Liverpool were about 8 points better off, right? So, for me, if I'm ruling out the last 4 games of the season, Arne Slot did achieve the goal that I personally set for the team, which I thought was very realistic and could be easily achieved. So that is the first thing. My expectation wasn't that Liverpool were going to drop off. I expected that Liverpool were going to do better than the season before this 2024-25 season. And indeed, we did. If you compare points tally after the 34th game week, which is the week in which Liverpool claimed the title, because I consider anything that comes after that week as a bonus, right? So Liverpool didn't really care about winning those games anymore. And I think if they did, they would have gotten more points from those last 4 games. So if we rule out those last 4 games, and I think it's very fair to do that because at that point, there was no point for Liverpool. Those games didn't really matter for Liverpool. So we can't really do any analysis with those last 4 games. So that is my take on the expectations for the season. Now, getting into the season review, my first point or reason for which I think Liverpool won the season was that we had a strong start to the season. The strong start to the season wasn't only due to the fact that we played teams that were expected to finish in the bottom half of the table, but also the fact that the team had a settled way of playing. They were more calm. They removed all jeopardy from the game. So we played a bit of a boring game at times at the beginning of the season. And I think slowing the game down and trying to take the sting out of the game really helped the way Liverpool played, and it really guaranteed wins, even when we were not playing well. So the strong start to the season was very important. I know a lot of people started talking about the fact that Liverpool haven't played anyone yet, because after the first 4 or 5 games, the only traditionally big team that we had played was Manchester United at Old Trafford, and even that we won that game. So people were expecting a drop off at some point in the season, but the truth of the matter is that the drop off never came. We'll get more into that later on. The second reason why I think we won the league was the incredible consistency that we showed throughout the season. The level of consistency that Liverpool showed, winning games. And I think after the first about 30 games of the season, Liverpool had lost only one game. And no other team was able to match that level of consistency. It wasn't just consistency in terms of not losing games, but also churning out wins, 3 points, week in, week out. So the number of draws we got were very far and few, and it didn't happen on a regular basis. So after about 4 or 5 wins, we get a draw. About 6 or 7 wins, we get a draw here and there. And that was how the season went. The level of consistency was unmatched. The third reason why I think we won the league was the fact that we had strong second halves throughout the season. Right at the beginning of the campaign, Liverpool played much better in the second halves, because in the first halves, it was more about trying to get to know where the spaces are, trying to fill out the opponent and see what they are doing, trying to bait them into doing certain things and see how they react. And once we were sure of how they were going to react to the way our players move and the way we build up from the back, we came into the second half knowing exactly what to do to hurt the opponent. So I think that was a very important thing about the season. The fourth reason why we won the league is the fact that we won games without dominating. As I said earlier on, at times we played a bit of a boring game, and the boringness of the games was from the fact that when Liverpool went ahead, for example, there was no jeopardy, there was no chaos anymore in the game. We took the sting out of the game. We calmed the game down. We removed any possibility of the opponent coming back into the game. So instead of attacking and going 100% energy throughout the game, we rested in the game by keeping the ball and moving the ball around to keep the opponent at bay. So that is something that really helped us in the long run. I think it also enabled the players to stay fit throughout the season, because they weren't running helter-skelter for 90 minutes in every game. So in games, I think what we did very well was that we had spells within games, 10, 15 minute, 20-minute spells where we killed the game off. And after that, the remaining time in the game was just nothing happening, basically, for the rest of the game. And I think that was a very important aspect of Liverpool's season that we hadn't seen a lot in previous seasons. The fifth point, or the fifth reason why I think we won the league, was the fact that with 10 men against Fulham, we still dominated the game, created most of the chances, and got a draw. So having gone down to 10 men in the first half of that game, Liverpool actually ended up even dominating the game. We took even more risks, and we didn't even concede as many clear-cut chances against 11 men. And the way we played that game really spoke a lot about the manager, Arne Slot, the way he sees the game and the way he tries to hurt the opponent no matter what the circumstances are. So that really told me a lot about the temperament of the coach and the fact that he doesn't take a loss at any point in time. He always tries to win the game. And if he doesn't, then he will take a draw. But losing is not an option for him. And I think that is the main reason why Liverpool had lost only 2 games. Before game week 34, when the league was won. So before game week 34, Liverpool had only lost 2 games. Right, and that was against Nottingham Forest in the early part of the season, and the second one was also against Fulham, away at Fulham. So Liverpool had lost only 2 games prior to the week in which the league was mathematically over against Tottenham. Now, the third point is the comeback against Brighton. That was a standout moment within the season. It was a moment where things really started to become much more clearer. We could see exactly what we are into for the season, and it really gave an indication that Liverpool could win the league. Because in that game, the first half was a very poor one. Liverpool went down by a goal to nil, but in the second half, right from the start, you could see that Liverpool was always going to be a matter of time, and that Liverpool was going to win that game. Right from the beginning of the second half, you could see that things had changed. The manager was able to get his message across to the players, and the players were ready to execute. So it was more of an execution rather than trying to play to win the game. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They had worked on something in the training ground, and they just had to execute it to perfection. Now, the 7th point is the fact that Liverpool were able to beat City home and away in the season. And I think that is one of the main reasons why we're able to win the league, especially in the home game against City at home. I think that was a very crunch moment in the season where people thought that Liverpool were going to drop off because we had played against Madrid 3 days earlier, and then we came to play against Manchester City at the weekend. And that was the period where people thought that Liverpool were going to play somebody. And so we were going to see exactly what this team is about. And there was no change really from the beginning of the season. Liverpool kept on playing the way they were playing, and they kept on getting the results they were getting right from the beginning of the season. But I must say that in that particular game, Slot did change the tactic a lot. He decided to give the ball to City and play on the transition, and I think that worked to perfection. Also in the away game, it was a similar style. He knew that the weakness of Pep's team is against the transitions because they didn't have Rodri or any defensive midfielder who could stop the transition. So that was a very smart one from Slot. The 8th point is the win against Spurs away in December, the 6-3 win against Spurs. That was an emphatic win. It was a beautiful game for the whole 90 minutes, and it was one of the best games of the season for me. And I think that really laid the marker. We really sent a message throughout the league that Liverpool is here to stay at the top, and it is going to be very difficult for any team who wants to pip Liverpool to the title. So that was a statement win, which I think sent shivers all across the league. The 9th point, the late win at Brentford. So that was also a very pivotal moment in the season where everybody thought that Liverpool were going to drop points. Also, given the fact that Arsenal and City, I think, had dropped points in that week, or they were about to play, and we needed that win in order to keep our momentum going. So that late win at Brentford, all the kudos goes to Darwin Núñez. That was the most influential part of his season at Liverpool this season. If nothing at all, I think all Liverpool fans are going to remember him for those 2 goals he scored at Brentford. And I think that was an important role he played in winning us the Premier League. Now, the 10 points why Liverpool won the league was Salah's incredible season. And I think a lot of people misconstrue the fact that Salah had a brilliant season and they think it is by fluke or it happened by chance that Salah had a good season. That is why Liverpool won the league. But I do want to completely reject that notion and say that Salah having a good season or a great season is because of Arne Slot setting up the team in such a way that we get the best out of our best player, which is Mohamed Salah. Because we know that he can get us 20 or more goals in a season. The job of the coach was to be able to set up the team in such a way that we can get the most out of him. He can give us the goals and put him in positions where he's going to hurt the opponent. So I think that is what Slot did. And Salah having this great season was down to Slot rather than the other way around. It wasn't because Salah had a good season that we won the league, but it was because Slot had an influence on his game, and that enabled him to score the goals we needed to win the league. So For me, this is my take on Liverpool season so far. Later on, I'll be bringing videos about the various departments of the team. I'll talk about the defense, I'll talk about midfield, and I'll talk about the attack. I'll review how the season went for all these various departments of our team, and also look forward to next season. Hopefully by then Liverpool would have made a lot more signings for us to be able to see what may happen in the next season. Thank you for watching, and see you.